anyone may be heard. Matters under the jurisdiction of the council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public at this time. However, California law prohibits the council from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Are there any non-agenda items tonight? Okay. Items from the public. These are on agenda items. Any member of the audience desiring to address the council on a matter on the agenda, please raise your hand or step to the podium at the time the item is announced by the mayor. In order that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak, any person addressing the council will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes unless the mayor and the council grants a longer period of time. And for the record, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Item number 7, these are public hearings. We have no public hearings tonight. Item 8A is approval of warrants. 8B is approval of minutes of the October 10th, 2000 regular meeting. Are there any questions on the consent calendar?
Motion we approve the consent calendar.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0 with 1 absent. Item 9, this is regular business. 9A, approval of resolution number 2000, next to number. A resolution establishing that development fees charged by the City of Newman in connection with the development projects are committed to the cost of public facilities related to the development projects. Cleve? Margaret.
Handle this.
We have so much time tonight. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the Council. Developer or capital facility fees are collected to offset the impact that growth will have on our public infrastructure. Tonight's item is a review of the revenues that have been collected through this process, the expenses that has been made against this fund, and the current fund balance. We're not here to review the computations that are used to compute the fees or the nature and the category of the fees. That is being done by Fieldman, Roloff and Associates, the group that has been hired by the council to review all developer fees, and that will be taken up at a later time. The categories that our capital facility fees are deposited for are items such as the police department, fire department, community buildings, which includes the theater, government and buildings, which includes City Hall and the museum, wildlife habitat, traffic funds, corporation yard, and the general plan and planning functions. Based on the report before you, Council is asked to find that the funds that have been collected have either been spent or have been obligated for future expenditures. And if Council likes, we could go over each separate category, or if you reviewed the report, we can just accept it as presented. Or not.
Are there any questions at this time for Margaret? No. Go ahead, Margaret.
Was that it?
That's it, Tom?
Just quickly, as Margaret mentioned, as you know, these are the fees that Fieldman Rolap were here previously and discussed that we are in the middle of studying right now. And it's an ongoing process. We're continuing with that. And just, for your information, this is what similar to what you'll be seeing coming back with a lot more detail backing up these fees and showing, the justification for them when we establish the new fees. So just wanted to let you know a little bit more, and that's what you'll be looking at. So.
All right. Any further questions before we adopt this? No? Okay, can we have some direction?
I so move for approval of a resolution establishing the development fees charged by the City of Newman in connection with the development projects are committed to the cost of public facilities related to the development projects.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0 with 1 absent. Thank you, Margaret. Thanks, Cleve. Item 9B, this authorized staff to call for bids for demolition and construction of Damari site located at 1345 N Street. Ernie?
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members. Stated in the subject, we're just looking for authorization to call for bids for the demolition. One of the statements that's in the report that says that we're waiting for RGA Environmental to do the inspection. After I received the cost quote of $5,125, I found that I had to do and solicit other companies to see if we could get a better price for the inspection. I'm presently talking with Freeman Environmental, but they won't be in until tomorrow. I will meet with them and look over the premises, and perhaps we can get a better price for it. I also talked to the Roland Brooks from the Air Pollution Control Board because they're the ones who solely determine whether we have to do a regulated or non-regulated inspection for asbestos. They informed me that we did have to because it was on commercial property and had commercial uses. And also they said that they would be sending me a packet that we had to fill out on all the forms for demolition, plus there's also other fees involved by their organization. So at the present, we're just asking for the authorization to demo and proceed with this project. If you have any questions, I'll attempt to answer them.
Are there any questions for Ernie?
Ernie, the document in front of us says authorize staff to call for bids for demolition and construction. Is it just demolition then that you're calling for?
At this time, it's pretty much the demolition and the ground leveling because this is a very complicated project that we need to get done, especially with the Air Pollution Control Board involved. At a later date, I would like to approach it from the standpoint of going in and doing a construction of a new parking area, if you will.
And so it'll include the demolition and removal of all the materials then too, and then ground leveling, but no base put in.
No, not at this time. I would like to approach it in that manner, and then at a later date, I would like to pretty much dig up the bid specifications that we did for the parking lot across by the vet place, and get other people involved. And I think that it would be a better way of doing it. Most of these companies that I'm talking to are mostly into demolition and not developing parking areas. I'm sure they could probably subcontract that out, but then all they do is tack on their percentage on top of that.
Ernie, what time period are you talking about as far as after we level it and then actually prepare it as a parking area?
Oh, right away, immediately. We plan to meet with our new city engineer tomorrow, and this is one of the projects that we're going to be pushing on.
Very good. I just didn't want you to demolish the buildings and then just leave it that way.
No, we want to stay with it.
Okay, thank you.
So there will definitely be something at the next regularly scheduled meeting, right?
I should have bid quotes for approval by the council so that we can get the demolition started.
Okay.
Okay, what you have here is your estimated $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
This does not include the inspections for the asbestos and lead and any other fees that may be. You were mentioning a $5,000 bid that RGA did. Is this 50,000? Is that included in the 50,000 or?
I believe that the 50,000 would be sufficient to cover the inspections that are necessary, plus the filing fees with the air board.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Ernie? Okay, thank you, Ernie.
Mm-hmm.
Can we have some direction on this item?
Motion, we authorize staff to call for bids for demolition and construction of Dumaire site located at 1345 N Street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0 with one absent. Item 9C, this update on skate park. Cleve?
This item is simply, as it stated, an update. Couple of reasons. One is just to let the council know where we are at. I had someone, actually it was Mary Pickford, called me the other day, and someone came in and told her that we had canceled it, that we were no longer going to do the skateboard park, and I assured her that we are. There's just some difficulties we run into. One of them is getting the actual design done, finding a firm that is willing to do it, given that it is a very small project and there's not a lot to it. In addition, the Public Works Director and I attended a meeting on skateboard parks to talk about liability as well as design issues and et cetera. And there was some good information that came out of that told us we need to, just take a good hard look at it when we do it. The main thing that came out of that from these people, and then Councilmember Applegate also gave me some information from the League of California Cities Conference on the same issue that said just make sure that when you go into it that you do it right, or it'll end up not being used. It'll end up a slab of concrete out there that is not even used. So we just step back a little bit to make sure we get it done right. Hopefully we can find the right person that's willing to work with us. We can meet with the skateboarders in the community. That's our plan, to find out exactly what will work for them and what will get used by them, and then we'll move into it and get it done. So, this is, as I said, just an update for the council and also for the audience and anyone who sees this on TV. It definitely has not been dropped. Our plans are still in place. We're proceeding with it. It's just a matter of getting the design work done. I talked to one skateboarder and brought up the idea, if we don't get the design of it done right, it makes it unusable. The story was told of one in another city that was built, and the curvature of the slopes was not done right, and it created a problem where the skateboarders wouldn't use it because it just didn't work right. So we're just being careful that what we do, we get done right. So,
Are there any questions for Cleve?
Cleve, I just had one question. Did you indicate, I think initially, that if this did not work out, that it could be used for another activity?
Yeah, I did, because the way we were planning it was to construct, basically put a slab of cement except for this one corner, and then construct portable structures that would go on top of the cement.
Mm-hmm.
In that way, you simply take away the structures and you've got a slab of cement. I suggested maybe we could put up a basketball hoop or something like that. There never seems to be enough of those, and it could be used in that manner. So, yeah, that's a possibility, but we still want to explore and make sure that we make every effort towards building a skateboard park. The information that we received in this meeting that we went to was, everybody is looking at building skateboard parks. All the cities out there are trying to do it because it's that big of a issue. It's a popular item. It's just something that everybody sees as a need in their communities. They're all saying it's something that's wanted. So we just want to give it our best shot so that, if it does come back and it's not used, we can say, well, we built what they asked for and did what they wanted to and did the best we could. And then if it's not used, then at least we've done what we can. So.
I've had an inquiry about whether the skateboard park might also be used for things like inline skating and bicycles.
Okay. The information we received, it will be used for inline skating and skateboards, but not bicycles. The information we received was that those two definitely do not mix. We may get some questions, and I've already had one person that's asked me about building some sort of BMX track or something like that for bicycles, but at this point we wouldn't mix the two anyway.
What about the razor scooters? That seems to be the big upcoming thing now.
That was brought up in the meeting, and they also recommended that those do not mix well with this, and that there's a way of writing in your regulations by the length, I guess, of the board limits it so that those are restricted and are not allowed in. And that was the same recommendation they had on that.
Well, the one thing that I just hope is emphasized, and I hope that the people that are watching this, is that, because I've had a lot of people come up to me that have the feeling that this thing had been dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to reassure them that this thing is funded already, that we have the piece of property that's going to go on. But I just want to make sure that people realize that we haven't dropped the ball on this thing, because we've been talking about this thing longer than we really need to have been. I mean, we've been talking about this thing for years without anything being done on it. So I just hope for the sake of, the people that are hearing about this, that this is definitely a go, but we just really need to be mindful that we don't drop the ball on this
Sure.
thing.
Sure.
All right, any other questions? All right, that was informational only. Item 10, this is an items from the city manager. Cleve?
I'm trying to think, what do we have? Just a reminder about the meeting on Thursday night. Hopefully everybody's got notice of that, and hopefully you can make it to that. That's the Central Valley Division of the League of California Cities meeting here in Newman. I wish I could tell you who the speaker was. We weren't responsible for that, and they haven't told us yet who it is, so I'm not right sure. I believe the president is and I don't know if I've told you this yet, Councilmember Reed, but is ill, and so Councilmember Reed is the vice president of that organization, will probably be running the meeting.
So I'm it.
So you're
Okay.
it, yeah. Billy Wallen, who is the president, the councilmember in Turlock, has some illnesses, I believe, Judy, and so he is unable to do that. But I think we've got everything planned well. It'll be fun to have it over here. Unfortunately, I don't believe, from what I heard, the attendance is going to be as good as we would have liked it to be. But that's okay. We'll go on with it. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Just the other question that has come up consistently, and David's been asking about this one, is we are pushing as hard as we can on the theater roof to get that done. Unfortunately, we had a structural engineer in there to tell us what needed to be done there, and whether or not we can roof over the top of what we had, or we had to tear off and do it over again. And unfortunately, it's been very difficult getting information out of him and getting him to finalize what he's got done. But
So we still don't know.
we still don't know for sure if that's going to work. We called him again today, and he tried to put us off another week, but we're continuing to push him to tell him we don't have another week. But like I say, if the process that we're proposing works and can be done, we can get it done easily this fall. If there's major structural work that has to be done, we're going to have to probably look at some sort of temporary fix again to try and get us through the rainy season, because I don't think any of us would want to tear it off this time of year.
As long as we keep from leaking.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
main.
yeah. So, I think that's all that I have.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Martina?
I have nothing tonight.
Councilmember Radford?
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Reed?
Just to tell everyone out there to get out a week from 2 weeks today and vote. There's a lot of issues out there, and if you don't get out and vote, don't complain. That's it.
Okay. One quick item, and this is certainly for future councils, for Cleve, for you, and when you guys put together your meetings for the future. We're here 20 minutes. We only had a couple of items. We just need to start picking a little bit more wisely as far as, we don't, if there isn't really anything that we need to meet on, we don't need to meet just for the sake of meeting.
Yeah.
If we could maybe, I know there's been plenty of items that have been requested in the past that haven't come back to us, and, if maybe we could start, if we're going to have meetings,
Sure.
A lot of us have our time that we like to have, and I just think we need to be a little bit more conscious of the fact that when we have meetings, let's schedule them a little bit better.
I apologize for that. This agenda actually started out quite a bit longer than it is, and unfortunately things kept falling off it, and we possibly could have canceled the meeting, I
Right.
suppose, and we
Because that's the
decided
thing. I
to
mean,
do it, yeah.
we don't need to, we're not opposed to, if we don't have something that's, really substantive, we don't need to meet just for the sake of having a 5-minute meeting.
I agree.
Well, I think if we get the whole thing is to get the public interested in this, so
Right.
that we have more people out here that are going to ask questions, make comments, and so whether we actually have a large agenda or not, there'll be people here to question other things that maybe aren't on the agenda.
Well, I
And if
think,
we can, that's the whole thing, is to work toward that, I believe.
I agree, but we also need to be efficient, and we need to spend our time wisely when we have meetings. There's no point in, there's nothing worse than having meetings that could have been constructed a little bit better or something like that. We also want to have efficient government as well. So, I don't think there's any of us that want to meet just for the sake of meeting. I don't think the public wants us to meet just for the sake of saying we had a meeting. So I agree. I think everybody needs to be involved, but we also need to be conscious of having some efficiency. So, all right. If there are no other questions, can we move for an adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.